I'm Connor,
I'm Bryce.
and we're going to be talking about Fauvism as part of modernism. The artist we've chosen to talk about was Matisse. So Matisse had paintings that were very Fauvist, particularly around the early, Fauvism was around the early 20th century, so early 1900s, like 1905, 1910. It ended relatively quickly around 1910 as they began to experiment more and kind of diverge into their own individual artistic styles.
Yeah, they definitely were starting to come out of the dark nature of everything in the paintings before that. And they started to bring in some cheerful colors, and they did paintings of landscapes and things like that. And actually, a French critic called it more of wild beast-like paintings. And kind of like as you see in the painting The Woman with a Hat, it definitely has got the crazy paint all over the place, kind of wild and almost in a sense unorganized. But I don't think to the painters that they thought it was very unorganized.
Yeah, it seems it's so colorful and the color is so sporadic and all over the place. It jumps out. It's very, very wild and beastly as described. So the idea here was to move people to emotion through radical visuals, and I feel as though I definitely get some emotion out of the pieces, but I don't really know. Confusion and excitement, they're definitely very vibrant, exciting pieces.
But I mean, definitely I think they were trying to really bring out their difference and drive just something between the two to show the distinctions between the different artists of the different times.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, the painting that we chose to talk a little bit more in depth of is called The Piano Lesson by Matisse. And unlike The Woman with a Hat, this one is a little more controlled. But my first impression when I saw it, I thought it seemed kind of bare.
Yeah, it does seem kind of empty. It almost seems to not have a focus. Like in the center of the painting, nothing is really happening. The boy playing the piano is in the bottom corner, and the corners seem to be where most of the things are happening, actually. To me, the painting feels out of focus. It feels like it's just looking at a scene, not really focusing on anything in particular.
Kind of coming into the modernism, obviously there was a lot of different things that played parts. If we look a little bit at like the cubism and how it, I think, can be portrayed in the same painting, you see how there's some very strong lines where they contrast between, such as the grass and the gray cement is what I see it as we're looking out the window. It definitely brings in the different aspects there during this time period.
So there are a lot of different little details and very distinct shapes with the metronome in front of the boy playing the piano, and that same shape is almost reflected in his face, where he doesn't seem to have a complete face. He has kind of a triangular protrusion on half of it, and it's very interesting the shapes that go into this.
I really thought it was interesting how they gave him one eye and, I mean, even one eyebrow. I mean, They give the shadowing, but I thought they would at least give him the eyebrow. But it was kind of interesting how they pulled that in there, as well as the little, what I want to call a little ringing bell that he has over on the left of him as we're looking at the painting. My first impression, I thought that it might be a little dull, but as we looked a little closer, I want to say that it's a bell, but it still kind of holds question to me.
So the other two big pieces of this painting are there's a statue in the bottom left corner of a bronze woman, and then in the top right corner there's a woman who, well, we think it's supposed to be a woman. At first we thought it looked like a dresser, but then upon closer inspection it looks to be a woman sitting on a chair or a stool of some sort, and supposedly this is his piano instructor?
That's what they say.
Yes. So something that was mentioned in one of the videos we watched was kind of these two women contrasting each other. One is very curvy and sensual and well displayed, while the other is very straight and well shaped and defined with very straight and abrupt lines, like most of the rest of the painting.
They say that the sculpture actually was one of Matisse's sculptures, but as for the dresser / white lady, it makes you wonder if Matisse was somebody who was expressing things such as in this painting where he uses many straight lines. The sculpture almost seems a little bit odd for his style or for what we see in this picture. Also, I kind of wanted to draw a little bit of importance to the lines of this. As you look at it, the green grass kind of first initially drew my attention, which brings you down, and as you see the boy at the piano, and then kind of as Connor was saying, you jump back and forth between the two women in the corners. But it is interesting how we have kind of that triangular angle between the piano boy and the two women, but it's more pushed to the right. It's more of a right angle than a pyramid, I guess.
And we've been referring to this as the grass and the concrete, but that's just our interpretation. It could also be light streaming in. I don't know why it would be green, but like that's another possibility. Overall, the painting is well defined through its shapes, and it's very, very abstract and confusing. And the bright colors that stick out are very much what this Fauvism was all about.
It was about breaking the norms, I think, a lot, and kind of doing what you felt fit most in there. So, oh, one last thing, the handrail I thought was also really interesting, just because it wasn't consistent. Kind of like as we see on the backstand of the sheet music on the piano, we see kind of a consistent design as it goes across, but the handrail by what I think is the window is not consistent across. It kind of changes its pattern as it goes about. So.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you guys very much.